Talking rah-rah. You say you hate it when I see you cry. You was my favorite cause you matched my fly. Look, baby, I could've left you when I fought, but I ain't that type. You looking for love, but I ain't that guy. Hit him in the slug, had to paint that guy. Cause he ain't down to ride. Thought you was my homie, wanna take my life. So behind my back and that's gonna get you sidelined. Most of these rappers be living fake lives. I hate them talking through a grapevine. I'm too original to fake mine. I broke her heart, I'll let her take mine. Broke out the back, she needed not the spine.
Switch it up, put it on, zip it up, let my perfume soak it in your sweater. Say you'll be here soon, sooner the better. No option for you saying no. I run this game, just play your role. Follow my lead, what you waiting for? Thought it over and decided tonight is the night. Talking, don't know who you trying to let. I got my mind made up. I'm ready for you. I'm in control, but with you being a man, you don't seem to understand. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. So keep thinking you the man, cause it's all part of my plan. I'm ready for you.
DJ Alex.
Nothing known. I strut around. I do it big. I shut it down. I wonder if you'll be able to handle me. Mental pictures. No cameras, please. Yeah, I hear you talking, don't know who you trying to flat. I got my mind made up. I'm ready for you. I'm in control, but with you being a man, you don't seem to understand. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. So keep thinking you the man, cause it's all part of my plan. I'm ready for you.
Red lipstick on a wine glass. Cameras in my mind flash, black lingerie, white diamonds, what a contrast. I know you get impatient as the time pass. You say you want it fast, define fast. Cause I could speed it up and make it last. And I could audition for this, and I could be part of the cast. And I could produce for your future, I could co-direct your past. And make damn sure that you never forget it. Committed, I'm ready, I'm with it. Still here like a statue. Pink champagne, green ink in your tattoos. You say you got baggage, well I'm packed too. Plus I got a sex pistol pointed right at you. Bang, the baddest woman ever and the hardest out. Proven over and over again, that's why I'm hard to doubt. Plus I'm young money to the death, I took the Carter route. I'm more than ready too. Hope it's something that you thought about.
Yo, what's up? It's Frankie J, and I'm hanging out with the one and only DJ Alex.
I'm ready for you. Yeah, I hear you talking, don't know who you trying to flatter. Got my mind made up. I'm ready for you. I'm in control, but with you being a man, you don't seem to understand. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. So keep thinking you're the man, cause it's all part of my plan. I'm ready for you. R.I.P. to the girl you used to see. Her days are over. Maybe she's over. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. So keep thinking you're the man, cause it's all part of my plan. I'm ready.
Hello, sweet grief. I know you will be the death of me. Feel like the morning after ecstasy. I am drowning in an endless sea. Hello, old friend. Here's the misery that knows no end. So I'm doing everything I can to make sure I never love again. I wish that I did not know where our broken lovers go. I wish that my heart was made of stone. Yeah, if I was bulletproof, I'd love you like I do. If I was solid like a truth, if I had a diamond heart, I'd give you all my love. If I was unbreakable, if I had a diamond heart, you shoot me with a gun to gold.
side, but before I know what it feels like, where do I go? If you never try, then you'll never know. How long do I have to climb up on the side of this mountain of mine?
Yeah, hello everyone. Um, yeah, hello everyone. Give me a second. I'll try to share my screen. Second. Um, is this clear? Can everyone see my screen? Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here today. So my name is Ugochukwu Aroro. I'm the founder and the CEO of Zen Finance, and this is the 2021 DeFi Hackathon, and I'll be talking about a deep dive into Zen Finance as a layer 2 DeFi protocol. So before I proceed, I'd like to let everyone know that this session might be a little bit kind of advanced, but I'll try to make things like very easy for others to understand. I'll try to put things in like layman terms, so every other person who is joining can understand, whether you have like a blockchain background or crypto background or not. Yeah, so first, I would like to talk about what layer 1 DeFi is, then layer 2 DeFi. But before then, I think I should just talk about what DeFi is as decentralized finance. So on the link of this live stream, or whenever you open this stream in future, or this link, you can check the description. So we have the link to the previous session that we had yesterday with the Binance team and Maple Block and Polygon. They spoke extensively about DeFi, in very simple terms. They describe what DeFi is, and they describe how it applies to real life. So if you really want to have a much detailed understanding of decentralized finance, that is DeFi, you can just click on that link at a later time to watch it. And it was a very extensive description of applications of decentralized finance in the real world. Yeah, so I'll just take a few minutes to explain what DeFi is for people who didn't join the previous session, but I'll still encourage you to go back and try and understand or go through that session. So, well, in layman terms, I would say that DeFi, meaning decentralized finance, is simply a financial structure or a design, right, that allows people to perform transactions or perform financial operations without having any human or third-party intermediary, without having any third party helping them to perform these transactions. Now, the transactions are now handled by computer programs, which are referred to as smart contracts. Now, putting much more meaning into that, I'll use an example. In the current financial world, most people, to perform a transaction, you probably need to go to a bank, or you can use your mobile phone, yes, or you can, go to an ATM machine to do this. You need a banking app, you need maybe a physical structure to perform a transaction. And behind or within the bank, you have the bankers, people who help you to process these transactions, right? Now, that is the centralized financial system currently, where everything is managed by one bank or one financial institution. When you want to move money from one bank to another bank, you need to specify the bank account number of that other bank. And of course, based on the government regulations, based on current systems that have already been set up, you might or might not be able to transfer money from one bank to another. So imagine you're in, say, for example, Nigeria, and you want to send money to like the Bank of America. I don't think I can't do that directly from my app, just, easily. You need to probably go to the bank, fill a form, do some very long processes before the money gets there. And for the money to get there, it might probably take like a day, 2 days, or 3 days. It's not something that happens, instantly. So that's the centralized financial system. And also taking it a step further into like investments. Say, for example, I want to invest in some things in the international money market, right? It might be very difficult for me or for someone in the village, or someone who doesn't have access, to maybe banks, for the person to actually just go, maybe open their phone and invest in any international money market opportunity per se, right? Before now, it was really difficult. Yeah, there are some apps that are available that allow you to buy some certain stocks in some countries, but they just allow you to do that in some geographical areas, right? Not everywhere. It's not open to everyone. So not everyone can even still access that international money market, right? So, but with DeFi, it breaks down these borders, right? That's decentralized finance. It breaks down these borders. I can stay in my home in Nigeria, and then I can buy cryptocurrency, I can buy stocks, I can buy tokens of probably any single project or any single protocol out there. And I just have it instantly. I don't need to talk to any banker. I don't need to talk to anyone. I don't need to do like KYC. I can just do it instantly, right? Also, I can save my money. I can lend. I can borrow money instantly without having to walk into a bank. The collateral I'll provide is set. So when I provide that digital asset, I can borrow another asset class, which makes it, and I can borrow another asset really, which makes a lot of sense. I don't need to walk into a bank, wait for months for my loans to be approved, check credit history and all those things. It's not very necessary anymore. So this is basically like what the opportunities that DeFi has to offer. And another thing with decentralized finance is that it's open and it is extremely secure, right? So by open, it means that you can verify any transaction. Someone can probably say, hi, I invested this amount of money here. And you can say, okay, give me your proof of payment or your transaction hash or your transaction link. I just put it on any available Explorer. And Explorer is a place where you can view transactions on the blockchain, right? I can just put it anywhere, any publicly available Explorer. And once that transaction was actually performed, I'll see the details of the transaction. So this has opened up a lot of opportunities for people, opened up, access to an amount of wealth which was actually siloed in multiple areas before. And this is really, really interesting. So now moving a step further, we're trying to look at different layers of decentralized finance, right? So there are things, when it comes to DeFi, there are very critical details that are very important for people who are trying to study it to know. So I kind of broke this down into like different, a layered structure. Much more during the presentation, we'll have like clearer view of what I'm trying to explain. But I'll just start with layer one DeFi, which is like the base layer. So a layer one DeFi protocol is a protocol or a system that exists in itself, right? It doesn't connect to any other DeFi protocol. So it can only interact with users, that's the people using it, or oracles. So oracles are more like systems that provide, external systems that can be providing information to that smart contract or that DeFi protocol, right? For example, maybe updating it with current price of things in the market, you know, so those are like what you call oracles. Example of these DeFi protocols will include Compound, Aave, Venus, and Fulcrum. So these protocols I mentioned here, or these systems I mentioned, Compound, it's a protocol where you can go and lend money, right? When you lend money, you get some interest. You can also go and borrow money. That's the same thing with Compound, same thing with Aave, same thing with Venus, and same thing with Fulcrum. So you can actually go to these platforms, lend money, and then borrow money as well, right? And the thing is that these platforms exist in themselves, like they exist as, you know, singular entities. They just interact with the users and then with oracles. Now, for moving a step further, looking at layer 2 DeFi. Now, layer 2 DeFi is really quite advanced than layer 1 DeFi. And I'll still explain the reason why we decided to start looking into layer 2 DeFi and why we started even building it out first. So layer 2 DeFi is a protocol that has a group or a lot of smart contracts, right, that are automated. And these smart contracts actually compose or make up multiple layer 1 DeFi protocols within a certain blockchain or across different blockchains, with the main aim of earning higher yields than the individual layer 1 DeFi protocols, or with the main aim of optimizing or, you know, maximizing the value derived from the individual layer 1 protocols. So an example is Yen Finance on the Ethereum blockchain, and then we've built this on Zen Finance, on Binance Smart Chain, and on Polygon, right? So by the layer 2 DeFi, what we've been able to achieve here is take these different layer 1 DeFi protocols and then do something really interesting with them. I also just like to say that the examples I listed above for the layer 1 DeFi protocols are not exhaustive. So you have decentralized exchanges there, you know, you have other things, and I'll still get to those parts, right? So those are just examples. So what we actually did with the layer 2 DeFi protocols was actually to take these layer 1 protocols, right, put them together, but not just adding them together, you know, consecutively, like putting them side by side, actually writing some logics or creating like some designs that would interact with these layer 1 DeFi protocols in very smart or brilliant ways to be able to earn higher yields or to be able to provide much more value than the individual layer 1 protocols operating as you know, separate entities. Yeah. Okay, so why even bother doing this stuff, right? Like, why do we want to even bother maybe cracking our heads to solve or to create a new DeFi layer? I mean, probably some people will probably ask, well, I guess the layer 1 is okay. I mean, it's working, right? Or there's no problem. I mean, it's not disturbing anyone. People can just go and use it. So, excuse me. No, the main reason we actually started working on this is we started looking into the future. Okay, so we're like, what happens in the next 10 years? we are still at very early stages of, the blockchain, decentralized finance, and all that. Now we're still at very early stages. And because we're still at very early stages, a lot of things, a lot of mistakes can be done. People can omit a lot of things. But because we've seen the power of the blockchain, we've seen what it can do, we really don't want it to stop, right? We want to constantly innovate. We want to constantly build things that will solve real problems. We want to build things that will cater for a very large audience. Now, overall number of crypto holders or crypto users in the world is about 221 million. But I can tell you that this number, right? Some people, these are like unique addresses. Now, some people can have about 20 or 30 unique crypto addresses. That's very possible, right? So the actual number might probably just be about 30% of this or 40% of this that really hold, crypto. Now, this shows that we're still at like very early stages. Now, the total value locked in DeFi, that's decentralized finance. By total value locked, it means like the total supply, the total capital that is actually being held by different DeFi protocols, like I mentioned above, right? The capital that is stored in those protocols is about $157 billion, which is extremely small, right? Now, compared to the global or the assets of the financial institutions globally, right? So when you want to check really how much do people have, like financial institutions, or basically like institutions, companies and all that, what's the value of all the assets globally? It's estimated to be around $404 trillion. And when you look at the number with the total value locked, you see that the TVL is just about 0.03% of the overall number of assets in the world held by financial institutions. And this begins to tell us that we've not even attempted to scratch the surface, right, of having the world move into decentralized finance, right? So you realize that most of these assets, the values and everything are still physical, held in Web 2.0 systems, or systems that are still not on the blockchain. And that is why we decided to start thinking about the future of decentralized finance. I mean, the present might seem to be great, but if we don't take care, or if we don't anticipate problems that might occur in the future, then we might be in for a very bad future. We might not be able to grow or to scale. So that's why we started now to start thinking about systems that will allow us to scale as people move their assets, so as people move their capital from the traditional financial system into the decentralized financial system. So now I'm going to talk about what currently exists, right? Sorry about this. So what exists? So looking at what exists, really, we see that we have 3 layers, right, that I pointed out. We have the layer 1 protocols, like I mentioned. That's the lending protocols. We have DEXs, that's decentralized exchanges. Now, for the layer 1 protocols, we have like Venus, we have Compound, we have Aave, we have Alpaca, we have Fulcrum. That's under the lending protocol. Then, as decentralized exchanges, you have PancakeSwap, and then you have Uniswap. Now, these are not exhaustive. These are just examples. There are a lot of decentralized exchanges. There are a lot of lending protocols. Now, for layer 2 protocols, you have Yen Finance, you have Zen Finance. Now, Yen Finance actually created the first well-established layer 2 infrastructure from my own research, right? And it was able to properly organize, optimize, and improve layer 1 lending protocols. It was done on the Ethereum blockchain, but of course, because of high fees, inability to process very large transactions and all that, I mean, there are a lot of bottlenecks. But at Zen Finance, we're able to think about better ways to improve the systems, right, to create even better yield protocols and then to account for, great yields over time as people get into DeFi. So that's basically what we did. And that's how we were able to come up with our layer 2 solutions to help scale DeFi, even when you have, say, for example, 1 billion people coming into DeFi, we should be able to help scale. Now, we know that we might not be able to solve all the problems that will arise when you have a lot of people, because there might be some problems that we might not have even thought about or envisaged at this time. But because it's a continuous system, it's a system that is taking, having like continuous development, we are constantly building, we're constantly innovating to be able to make sure that we're able to cater for the large number of people that will be coming into DeFi. Now, there's a third layer, really, that we are also even researching on, right? And I think a couple of other projects might be researching on it as well. I'm not very sure, but it's the layer 3. Now, what is going to be in the layer 3? Now, what will be in the layer 3 is having multiple layer 2 protocols, interact across different blockchains. Now, let me explain. Say, for example, we have Zen Finance now on Binance Smart Chain, right? We have Zen Finance, our protocols we're actually deploying on Polygon, our layer 2 protocols we're deploying on Polygon, on Binance Smart Chain, and other blockchains as we continuously develop. What would really make a lot of sense as a layer 3 protocol would be deploying these protocols on different blockchains, yes, and then allowing them to interact or transfer liquidity or capital across chains, depending on different yield strategies that have been designed. So I'll give you an example. As at today, you can see that maybe on Ethereum blockchain, right? The annual percentage yield on, say, for example, AVE might be 2%, right? APY, I'm giving an example. On Polygon, AVE might be 3.5%. Now you realize that there is a lot of, there is a 1.5% margin or difference, really, right? There's a delta of 1.5%. And when you're looking at that, you realize that that's a huge number, okay? So if your protocols were smart enough to move funds automatically from the Binance Smart, from Ethereum, sorry, to Polygon, right? And leverage the high yields there and earn higher APYs within a certain period, you see that the users are actually getting more value, right? Now, it's not just as easy as I've mentioned, right? Because when you want to deal with moving crypto or, liquidity or capital, excuse me, across chains, you need to now deal with bridges. So there are things called bridges that will allow you to move capital from one blockchain to another blockchain, right? So those also represent some sort of, bottlenecks or areas where moving the capital might not be as fast or as let's say, cheap as you might think, right? But yeah, that's still a problem that can be solved. Okay, but then moving capital or moving liquidity across different chains, to be able to leverage or get very high yields is actually something that is really remarkable. It's something that implementing it will be really cool and will really solve a lot of problems in the future. Now, that being said, like I mentioned, it's still something that we're doing, is a research that we're still undergoing, that we're still working on. And it's something that we believe like in a few months, we should probably have like an MVP to be able to show and try out to see what, is really obtainable. But yes, that's what I see as a layer 3 solution for DeFi. And yeah, so now moving to Zen Finance's layer 2 DeFi product. So we've been able to build out 2 solutions currently being audited. We should expect to go live in a week or 2. We have one, which is an auto aggregator. So what we actually created in the auto aggregator is by design, what it does is it goes through, based on the particular blockchain it's deployed, it actually goes through the different lending protocols or DeFi protocols, the different layer one DeFi protocols on that blockchain, right? And then it checks the ones that have the highest yields. It checks these protocols, automatically moves people's funds, moves their monies from the one that it currently sits on, and then moves it to the ones with the highest yield. So this change usually happens within intervals of, like, anytime a transaction occurs on the platform, it does this, or in a few minutes, we always trigger the smart contract to perform this. It's called rebalancing, basically, right? So it rebalances the current portfolio, the current assets that are held within the smart contract. It takes them from the lowest, the current APY to the ones with the highest APYs, right? So that's like a very simple way of ensuring that anytime users invest or save on Zen Finance, they always get the highest yield. Now, we're deploying this protocol on Polygon, and it's also going to be coming on Binance Smart Chain, and we're going to be moving, of course, to like other blockchains with time. So that's the first layer 2 DeFi product that we have built. And like I mentioned, it's currently being audited, so it's not live now. We should be live in about 2 weeks or so. Now, the second one is the XVolt. So the XVolt is a really brilliant system. Is a little bit more complex than the aggregator, because what it does is that it takes multiple DeFi layer 1 protocols, right? But not just lending protocols. So the auto aggregator takes only lending protocols. This one takes different DeFi layer 1 protocols, like the lending protocols and the decentralized exchanges, right? So it combines the power of both DeFi protocols and then gets very high yields. I would explain the design of this, to make it like quite a lot easier. But for people who might not really understand or have like the blockchain background, it might be a little bit complex, but yeah, I'll try to make it as simple as possible. So basically what happens is for the Volt system, when people deposit funds, what it does is it takes the funds, right? And it checks the best yield protocols that are available. Now it deposits the funds there. And when it deposits the funds, usually when you have layer 1 protocols that you lend money to, most times when you lend money, they actually give you like some sort of reward, right? So when you lend money, you're getting like some high yields. So when you get those high yields, usually they come with rewards as well. So we take, for the ones that have rewards, we can take some of those rewards, swap them on, a layer 1 DEX, right? Swap them, earn extra yield, and then send it back to the user, right? So, but these things happen like really quickly. And something else that occurs, there are some things called flash loans that, we also use to ensure that we have like really high yields within a short period of time, right? But I won't go so deep into that now. Yeah. So basically, this is how the XVolt system works. So the auto aggregator basically just works across lending protocols, but the XVolt system introduces protocols that allow you to take flash loans, protocols that lend, and of course, decentralized exchanges. So it's way more complex, but yeah, it's also way more profitable. Of course, it creates more yield. And that's also because it's very complex, it can also introduce some level of security vulnerability. Now, I would like to mention this because most times it's not as safe. Most times people will rather paint the picture of, the blockchain being so great without having any problems. That's not true. So one major problem that smart contracts have or decentralized systems have is that vulnerability, that ability to be attacked by, hackers and all that. But the thing is, one of the things we do, or most systems do, to secure their system is by auditing these systems, right? So we audit our systems and we make sure that they've undergone audits by multiple auditors. And after undergoing audit, we also do routine scans to ensure that, the system health is actually great, right? So, but because we know that these systems are prone to attack, one of the things, like I mentioned, is doing the audits. It's essential to have those audits done, right? So that's why it also takes time, and it's quite expensive, because that's one of the reasons we even encourage people to build on Zen Finance, because instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in auditing your protocols, especially at this level, it's always better to just spend a little amount to audit maybe a higher level of your code base, and then this part is already audited. So all you just have to do is to plug in, and it makes, you know, your life very, very easy. So this is more like an infrastructure, right, for other people to build on top of, for other protocols to leverage, you know. So that's basically what we have created here. So these are like the two DeFi protocols that we have built on in Zen Finance, actually. Yeah. So I will take like a few minutes to explain the XVolt architecture. I know it might seem a little bit complex, and yeah, I can always share this slide later for people who like to have access to it. On our community, I believe we'll be able to share a link to this. Yes, so now for the architecture, it's quite, well, when you take a look at it, it might seem like a lot of things are happening, but you know, it's actually quite straightforward. So you have like an investor that can deposit or withdraw money, right, from a vault. And then you have things called strategies. Now, the strategy is where most of the magic really happens. And the very interesting thing about this strategy is that it's designed by human beings, right? It's designed by people like me, people like you. You must not be a software engineer to design a strategy. That's the beautiful thing about this strategy. So they are modular. So a strategy, the current strategy displayed here is, okay, user deposits fund. Now, the fund is deposited on Venus, which is one of the layer 1 protocols I mentioned. Now, the fund is deposited on Venus. Also, the strategy borrows money from Cream Finance, right? Cream is a place where you can get flash loans. By flash loans, you can take a huge amount of money, right, as a loan without any collateral, but then you have to pay back within the same transaction, right, within the same block. So what it means is that you take that loan, invest it or save it on Venus, right? And then you claim some XVS, that's like some tokens, Venus tokens, you claim those tokens, right? And then, of course, you also earn your interest. Then you pay back the loan. Then the tokens you've claimed plus the interest, you can actually swap the tokens on PancakeSwap, and then you earn interest. You earn actually the real, maybe dollar value, and then everything is added plus the interest you've actually earned, and then it's sent back to the investor, right? So this sounds really cool, right? And it was all designed by some people, okay? Like individuals like me, individuals like you. So for people who, and then this strategy is actually managed by someone called a strategist. So this is the strategist person here, right? So the strategist is someone who designs this and then sends it to the engineers, and then the engineers will build out. So because at Zen Finance, we've actually created a DAO, that's a decentralized autonomous organization. It's open, right? Anybody, and we just announced, like, we have our governance system live now, right? So what usually happens is when a strategist creates a strategy, right, on paper, we present it to the community saying, hey guys, look at this strategy. We looked at it in the team and we think it's cool. Should we add it? Should we build it into our current architecture, our current infrastructure? And they're like, okay, yes. So people will vote. So, and that's why it's good to have, you know, the feedback from the community. So people will vote. When they vote on that strategy and a higher number of people are saying that, yes, add this strategy, what will happen is that the developers will work on that, implement the strategy, and then add it. So what we have created here is something that is not just for individuals or for software engineers or blockchain engineers, even people who are financial experts, right? To be honest, this is better done by financial experts than software people. But the financial expert or whoever is doing it, right, needs to understand or must have used some existing DeFi protocols, like maybe PancakeSwap or Uniswap, right? It's just a DEX, a decentralized exchange where you go and switch one token to another. Now you must have probably maybe use something like Cream Finance. Cream Finance is a place where you can actually take loans, right? Flash loans. You might also have used like Venus, maybe a layer one protocol where you go to save your money, right? So when you look at these protocols, you can now be like, okay, maybe there's a way I can combine these protocols and then make something out of them. So you now start thinking, right? That's one way. And another way is basically if you are an engineer, that's a software engineer, right? And of course, in your time of building software, around or building smart contracts, you must have come across some of these different protocols. You can actually sit down and think about how you can manage, or combine these protocols to give us a very effective yield generation system. And then you can propose it, we put it out there. If the community votes and it's like, oh, this is great, then we build it in. And one advantage of being a strategist is that you get to earn money, right? So it's not like you're doing it for free, okay? Because we believe that the world is moving into a space where anybody can just be a company of their own. So it's no longer about you saying, oh, I've registered this company. No, you can actually contribute to hundreds of projects, thousands of projects. You get paid, and that's the essence of building a decentralized autonomous organization. So that's the main aim of what we are doing here. We want this to be open to financial experts, to software engineers. Everybody is welcome to bring their contributions. Whether you're an expert on the blockchain or not, you can interact with some of these systems and come up with great ideas of how we can build strategies, and you actually earn fees. And how this works is, for example, the strategist earns like 1%, or depending on the community, right? They can earn 0.5%, 1%, 2% of the overall revenue generated from his or her strategy. So you see that this is really, really cool. If you could come up with these ideas and then mention them to the Zen Finance team, we can look at it, put it up for votes. And once it's voted in, we build it into the system. Yeah. So I think that will be all from me, and thank you all for listening. I hope I didn't bore you guys, but yeah, thank you for listening. And if there are any questions, I'd like to take them now. Give me like a second to check. Yeah, if there are questions. Okay. Okay, yeah, so, okay, a few questions were shared on the community. Someone says, sorry, I'm trying to stop share. Yeah, okay, a question is, goes this way. What makes this project different from others? And one second. What makes this project different from others? And how will this project help ordinary people become more financially independent? Okay. Yeah, so what makes this project different from others? I would like to know what you, well, when you mean others, I'll probably think you're referring to, well, other DeFi protocols. So like I mentioned, what we've built here, right, is more advanced than existing layer one protocols. It's just a way of allowing people to earn better yields. So how this will help the everyday person become much more financially independent is that, say, for example, now, most DeFi layer one protocols, right, or layer one DeFi protocols have very low yields at this time because the market is not like very bullish at the moment, right? So they have like low yields now because of the market conditions. But advanced layer two solutions, right, will have way higher yields at this time. You can see some of them might be at maybe 3%. Lower, the layer one infrastructure might just be at 3% or 2%, but layer twos might be at 10% or 12%. So this actually makes it better for the individual, or for the ordinary person to be financially independent. Yeah. So the second question is barriers to innovation and invention is adaptability and ease of use. Okay. Which layer 2 blockchains really solve the purpose, and how can Zend motivate us to see the future of banking, and what lies ahead, up and coming? Okay, what lies ahead and upcoming? Okay, well, basically, when it comes to layer 2 blockchains, I mean, you are looking at things like Polygon, right? So it's a layer 2 scaling solution that has done really well. It scales, it's a layer 2 where Ethereum is actually the layer 1. So Polygon is a go-to blockchain when you're looking at layer 2 scaling solutions. They've done really well, right? They're saying how will it make it easy to use? Well, basically what we're doing to make things easy to use, because we understand that these systems can be very complex. There are so many tools. So one of the things we're doing at Zen Finance is actually building out systems like a mobile application, right? Which we're launching sometime next month. So we have our mobile application that makes it very easy for people who don't even have crypto, right? You have your local currency, right? You can just put in your local currency, and then you have access to these layer 2 protocols, and you can just earn interest. You don't really need to understand the complexity behind it. Yeah, so we've been able to do all that, and we'll be launching that very soon. Someone says, I hear layer 2 solve TPS product, transaction per second problem, and scaling problem. My question is, how much faster is layer 2 compared to ground level layer? No, so it's really, really fast, right? So for example, I think, okay, if we look at Ethereum, for example, when you're looking at finality, right, chain finality, I think Ethereum blocks are confirmed in, I think about 10 minutes, or I think about, I think about 3 minutes or so, right? When you're looking at something like Polygon, it happens in seconds. And what Polygon really does is it still, reconciles with Ethereum blockchain, but at a later block, so things actually happen really fast. And Polygon probably does, I think, about 60-something thousand transactions per second, right? And for Ethereum, I mean, it's really low. I'm still trying to remember the overall number of Ethereum transactions per second, but I know that it's really, really small compared to what we have Polygon doing, right? So I think Ethereum might be in the hundreds or so, or yeah, I'll still have to confirm that number, but you can just check out the particular number. I know Polygon does thousands of transactions per second. Yeah, but there are other layer 1 solutions, though, that are actually performing really well, like Solana is doing extremely well. I think Solana does over 100,000 transactions per second, and it's layer 1. But it's not really, layer 2s are not necessarily always faster than all layer 1s. It depends on the blockchain where the layer 2 was deployed, right? So you realize that some layer 2 solutions, right, maybe on Ethereum blockchain might still be slower than maybe something like Solana. Okay, so yeah. Now, another question is, great to read about the speed at which Zend is building. More than 10 products in 6 months is not an easy feat. It's no easy feat. My question is, Zend is currently focusing a lot of efforts in Africa. May I know if there are any plans to go global? Thank you. Yeah, so this was asked by Crypto Derek. Yeah, so yes. Basically, what we're doing is not really putting energy in Africa alone, right? But what we're actually doing is our systems actually cater for everyone anywhere in the world. For example, our layer 2 solutions, right? Our layer 2 DeFi solutions actually can be accessed by anybody anywhere in the world. We just announced a hackathon, which is the current session we're having is for the hackathon. We realize that this hackathon is not just for people in Africa, but of course we're from Africa, and the blockchain has a lot of value to people here, really a lot of value to people here. So what we're doing is we're encouraging people here to build out solutions, you know, for the world. We're also encouraging the world to leverage blockchain, you know, to be able to also profess solutions for people here. So what we're doing actually is we're leveraging the blockchain, solving problems here, and of course, extending it to the world. But our systems are not limited to people in Africa. We have, you know, thousands of users from different parts of the world, okay? And one of the things we're even doing to even make this much more open, like I mentioned, is after launch, when we launch our layer 2 DeFi solutions, right, anybody can access them from anywhere. You don't need to be in Nigeria, you don't need to be in Ghana or any African country. You can be in the US. We already even have, you know, people who are fund managers in different parts of the world who are waiting for this solution. Okay, so yeah, we're not limited to Africa. Someone says, very interesting to learn about the thinking behind the products Zen is building. With splitting users' funds across different chains and different layer ones, there are chances of being hit by hacks. Yeah, any plans to integrate insurance? Very good. Yeah, so we've already integrated insurance. We have a partnership with Tidal Finance. And yeah, we have like an announcement going out next week on, you know, a new feature we are actually deploying with Tidal. It's called like a guarantor pool. So the idea is that people can actually go buy insurance now, right? On Tidal Finance. You can go to Tidal Finance, you have you see like Zen, you can buy cover. So what happens is anytime you're investing in Zen Finance, right, you just go to Tidal and buy insurance. We are going to still make it very user-friendly. So people from our interface can just buy the insurance, right? You just buy the insurance, you're covering your assets. Okay, so Zen Finance actually even gave out, we bought $1 million worth of insurance coverage for our platform, right? So we already have people on our platform currently have insurance coverage on all assets on this Zen Finance platform currently. But people who are joining, people who are purchasing or who are saving or investing in Zen Finance should actually go buy insurance to cover their assets. And you can get that from Tidal. So the integration is done. Someone says, what are the advantages of layer 2 over layer 1? Okay, yeah, so layer 1 DeFi, right? They're just systems that exist on their own. And because they exist on their own, they're not actually composed of other systems. What happens is that it makes it difficult for them to bear or earn very high yields, right? But layer 2 solutions, layer 2 DeFi solutions, right, like Zen Finance, what we're doing is we're aggregating these layer 1 protocols in ways that are actually very brilliant, that they can earn higher yields, right, for the users or for the investors. But it doesn't mean that the layer 1 solutions are useless, no, because the layer 2s won't even exist without the layer 1s, okay? So what we've done is we're actually building on the layer 1 solutions, but optimizing their operations in such a way that, you know, it's actually really, really interesting, or it helps the investors to earn higher yields. Yeah. Well, I have another question. Someone says, if the borrower in a flash loan defaults, what happens? So you can't default, right? Yeah, so the thing about flash loans, that's you can just take time to study flash loans. So flash loans are sort of loans, right, that everything occurs in one particular block. So it's not like you're borrowing and you won't pay back. It's actually a really interesting system. I think it was first introduced by Aave. I think it was first introduced by Aave on Ethereum blockchain, right? So you can borrow everything. You don't need to put in any collateral, but everything, all the transactions will end in one block. So it's not like you borrow the money and then pay back later. No, you can't do that with flash loans. Okay, so everything, and so you cannot default on the loan. And the beautiful thing about the loans, really, or this whole system, is that it's managed by smart contracts. So it's not like a situation where someone just wakes up and is like, hi, I'm going to borrow this money and I won't pay it back. It's not possible. It doesn't exist, right? So that's that with the loans. Another person says, as an investor, how can I consider the risk associated with DeFi protocols? And how can Zen help in this case? Okay, yeah. So the risks involved in DeFi protocols, I'll mention them again. One is DeFi protocols are open to, they have security vulnerabilities, they're open to hacks, right? But because they're open to hacks, what projects now do is before the protocols even go live, they undergo multiple audits. So before you actually invest or save in any DeFi protocol or use any DeFi protocol, always check, has this project been audited at all, right? It helps. So if that project has been audited, you're rest assured that, okay, at least there's a form of security. The next thing to check is there any insurance cover for this project? Because it's always great where you want to invest or save, and then you can always buy insurance. So in case anything happens to your money, you can retrieve it from the insurance project, right? So these are the two things I will encourage you to do. Check if it's been audited and check if it's insured. So how Zen can actually help with this is for our own protocol, we ensure that our protocols are audited. Auditing takes time, it costs money, but we are willing to wait. We are willing to spend the resources required to ensure that we audit our projects properly, not just by one auditor, but by multiple auditors. It helps to have different views. So we also have insurance, right? So like I mentioned previously, we have Tidal insurance that you can actually go to the Tidal platform, Tidal Finance, Tidal.finance. You can go there, purchase insurance, for Zen before you even come and save currently on Zen Finance. So you realize that your money, your system or your savings and everything are actually covered. Someone says, okay, Liam, what's the story behind Zen Finance? What's your story actually? How far have you come and how do you feel? Okay, yeah, so, well, I mean, I have limited time, but yeah, so Zen Finance really came about. We started building it out last year, it's been over a year since we worked on Zen Finance, right? That's the first version of Zen Finance. So it started at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, really. That's basically, we realized that at the time, we realized that having the Naira, we're based in Nigeria, right? So having the Nigerian Naira was really not suitable anymore, for us, because there was constant devaluation. Even now, the currency isn't so great. It's getting worse, So at the time, we realized that our savings were actually depleting, okay? So we had to find a way to give people access to invest in the international money market and very high yields, and also protect them against devaluations and then inflation. So at that time, personally, I belong to like cooperatives and all that here. So I realized that, okay, if there was a way to help these guys out, it really, help the everyday man solve this problem with devaluation. So I started looking into systems that were not the traditional financial systems, which is DeFi, okay? And also being a blockchain engineer, it was quite easier to analyze multiple protocols to see what we had to build. Okay, so when we started building it, we had our first version. I realized that it was a huge deal. It was something that a lot of people really wanted. And then we now decided to improve on it, which is where we are today. Because we realized that some of the hurdles people had was, okay, one, how do they gain access to your protocol when they don't understand the blockchain? And that is why we started building out even our SDK, and started building out our mobile app. So people that don't even understand blockchain can always just use their Nigerian Naira, for example. And as we are going to be supporting other currencies, maybe like their US dollar and all that, just deposit it into our protocol and then they start earning yields. And then, so I think that should be all. We had a lot of questions. So thank you everyone for really joining this session. And the thing is, for the next session, we're going to be talking about, working with the Zen Finance SDK. So I'll also use this opportunity to encourage developers, hackers, everybody, check out our hackathon website, register, and then start building an application on the Zen Finance protocol, and join our Telegram developer community. There you can ask any question, any technical question, anything about the hackathon, and we'll answer. All right, guys, and also submit your ideas on there's a place that says hackathon ideas. So you can go there, submit your ideas on the Dora Hacks website. And then because people have already submitted, people have already started voting for those ideas, right? So the earlier you submit, even if your project is not complete yet, you can just go submit your idea while you continuously work on the project. Yeah, so go to the link that says ideas, hackathon ideas, submit your ideas there, go to apply grant, submit it, and then get your friends, get people to vote on those ideas for you. Thank you. All right, guys, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.